Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Lovely to have you along for the ride. My goodness gracious, I got to tell you. So every Thursday I do this hit with Bill Colarulo on the Jacob Media platform, right? Bill's become a friend of mine. I got to know him over the course of football season. Really good dude, doing a great job, doing great things. And I got to tip my cap. So today, Thursday, I'm going to be on his program at 10:20 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, okay? And Bill's tweet yesterday, if you haven't seen it, good gracious. Every time I was on social media, every time I was on the Instagram, the Facebook, and the Twitter, the X, whatever, I saw this come up. Facebook especially. I'm not even on Facebook that much. But anyway, it was there. And it's incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Look at these numbers. Bill Colarulo put this together, crunched the numbers. When it came to the cap hit, have you seen these numbers yet? Bill even identifies it as these numbers are insane. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, okay? New to the nest, Saquon Barkley. Total cap hit for all four Eagles, $36.2 million. All right? Okay. Dak Prescott's cap hit, $59.4. Daniel Jones, $47 million. Oh my goodness gracious. This is Bill's absolutely right. It is insane. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of Howie season. And this is a different thing. And I know that a lot of us, we're going to get into Howie Roseman today. Zack Rosenblatt, who covers the New York Jets for The Athletic, used to cover the Eagles, covered the Giants for a few years. Now he's been covering the Jets for a little bit now. He's going to join us to talk all things Bryce Huff because the Eagles made it official yesterday. We'll get to that in a second. But we'll get to Brandon Marsh making his spring debut for the Phillies yesterday, so that's great. A lot of things we'll get into on the show today. But this is why I have confidence in the Eagles being contenders. And I know it's been drilled into our heads for a number of years. So far, it's still more that it's been drilled into our heads that, Howie Roseman is actually pretty good at his job. I know for a long time, a lot of people go to the Brandon Graham draft. A lot of people, go to Justin Jefferson, and rightfully so. Jalen Rager over Justin, you say you crazy. But one of the things that I fall back on now, and I'm not saying he's perfect by any means, but he's pretty damn good at his job. One of the things I fall back on now is that when I think about this Eagles team and I think about whether or not they can be competitors and whether or not they can take full advantage of an offseason or anything like that, when I think about this Eagles team, you know what I think about? I think about this team losing the MVP of the league at the time in Carson Wentz and having probably the deepest team ever and still win a Super Bowl. And then 5 years later, they're back in a Super Bowl after a few more playoff appearances. Hell, even after the Eagles won the Super Bowl, you know what we forget? We forget that if Alshon Jeffrey catches a football from Nick Foles, the Eagles are most likely going to the NFC Championship game for a second consecutive year. But we just kind of gloss over that because so much happened with Carson Wentz over that 3-year span. It was just absolutely bonkers, insane, nuts, crazy. But this team has been extremely competitive with 2 Super Bowl appearances now over the last 5 years. Now 6 years, of course. The year 6, not so great. And then I think this offseason will certainly help solidify the fact, if the Eagles stay healthy, that they'll be back competing for at least the number 1 seed in the NFC and putting themselves in a pretty damn good position to move into the playoffs, to move on to another Super Bowl appearance. And when they made it back to that Super Bowl and they lost with the different head coach and different quarterback, that's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive. So I have confidence in Howie Roseman. The idea, and this is what also gives me a lot more confidence in just the overall philosophy and scheme of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are not going to be, even with Saquon Barkley, let's just get this out of the way. Even with Saquon Barkley, the Eagles are not all of a sudden going to flip to be some 55% pass, 45% run team. That's not going to happen. Okay? That's not happening. It's still going to be heavily in favor of the pass. Just getting the ball in Saquon Barkley's hands is going to be great. And as we learned from our conversation yesterday with Pat Leonard, one of the things that he looked at with Saquon Barkley is that the Eagles aren't just signing a running back. They are signing a weapon. in Saquon Barkley, and that's how they're looking at it. I think that's the right way to look at it. How they're going to use that weapon is going to be very interesting. The touches is what I'll be looking at more so than just the carries, because the Eagles haven't changed their overall philosophy in terms of paying a running back and giving him the football to run with it. They're going to be changing their philosophy in terms of we can use this running back out of the backfield to catch more passes than we saw from DeAndre Swift. Potentially more so than we saw even in the Brian Westbrook days. So that's what we can look to. But even though the Eagles had this horrendous collapse at the end of the season, I still had confidence and still have confidence in Jalen Hurts bouncing back. And now getting him another amazing weapon. And also, by the way, I didn't even mention this, Devontae Parker coming here. They're pretty set. They're pretty set offensively. We got one tiny question mark. I'll call it a tiny question mark on the offensive line when it comes to Cam Jurgens as a center, and a big question mark when it comes to the right guard spot. Last year we had a question, hey, who's going to be the right guard? Is it going to be Cam Jurgens? Is it going to be Tyler Steed? So Cam Jurgens won that job. Now Tyler Steed's going to be there. He'll get first crack at it, depending on what the Eagles do in the upcoming draft. And also adding an insurance policy and Matt Hennessy coming here from the Falcons by way of Temple University. That's a nice little thing too. But when people went into this season and said the Eagles are done, this is it, they suck, they're terrible, and that perfectly describes how they finished the season. However, done, terrible, awful, no good, gross. That does not describe my feelings about the Philadelphia Eagles in the future. I had confidence in Jalen Hurts bouncing back. The fact that the Eagles went into last year with two very inexperienced, to put it nicely, play callers on both sides of the football, and Nick Sirianni in the middle of that, who is already a hands-off guy, that did not set up people for success. I said it throughout last year, and I'll say it again. The Eagles went into last year pretty damn arrogant. Oh, yeah, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Brian Johnson never called plays. So what? They'll be fine offensively. And you know what? For a minute there, they were. And then they got figured out. And then there was no adjustment to the adjustment. And that's when everything crashed and burned. And then they're like, you know what? We can go in here with a defensive coordinator where the scheme is still of the ilk of, hey, just don't give up the big play. A lot of people can have success like that. Not so much, unfortunately. But this year, they're going in with Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. So at the very least, they have experience there. I like the coordinator hires. I think both coordinator hires are good. Now you're adding this kind of talent, especially on the offensive side of the football. That's pretty damn good. You bring back at least an experienced safety that's already had success in a similar scheme. That's pretty good. This whole offseason, for all, not even a week of it in sincerity here, the last couple days with Howie season has been pretty great. I made the declaration last week that this is when Howie season begins. Now it's time for Howie to show us what Howie can do. That this is how we do it. This is Howie season. All those things that get thrown, the wizard, the magician, all that stuff that gets thrown out there with Howie Roseman. He is flexing his muscles right now. And you wouldn't think it when you think of Howie Roseman, but damn, that looks good. He ain't squatting 600 pounds, but this guy is flexing his muscles, and Howie Roseman, he's doing one hell of a job so far this season. Between Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, the coordinator hires, very good hires. Now making sure that they have the pieces to avoid any type of end of the season collapse. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. This is Howie season, and it's to be celebrated in the Eagles. They spiked the proverbial football yesterday, if you will, putting out the tweets that did make it officially official when it comes to Saquon Barkley, saying, back in PA, welcome to the city of brotherly love, Saquon. And then they also put this up here with Bryce Huff. How about that? Also, one last thing on one last thing here on that brotherly shove. So I had, like a lot of people, Saquon Barkley, here's $26 million. Now push Jalen Hurts across the goal line. I don't think that's going to be used as much as it has been in the past. And quite frankly, I'm very happy about that. But the Eagles did put this out when it came to Saquon's squatting ability, Saquon's, and Jalen Hurts' squatting ability. And the Eagles even had some fun with that brotherly shove. You'll see the headline.
Quit playing, man.
That's a lot of weight, folks. That is a lot of weight right there. I don't know how much it is for Saquon. Let me look at it. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight being squatted by Saquon. So, yeah, if you do want to run the brotherly shove, Jalen Hurts might be pushed into the concession stands, all right, if they do decide to run that. I would say it's still going to be less than the amount of times we have seen it before. But also what I'm excited about, I talked to you guys about the RPO and the idea of potentially, possibly, maybe somehow magically, the Eagles going back to it a little bit more than we saw last year. Can you imagine the Eagles had started throwing in some fake tush pushes throughout the season, lining up in the tush push formation, and then running to the outside with Kenny Gainwell or Jalen Hurts, bouncing into the outside or whatever the thing may be. They ran a pass play out of it once. Now imagine doing that with Saquon Barkley, having him run to the outside, that would almost look like a power sweep. So a little toss to the outside like that. That's going to be nasty. That's going to. Ooh, wait, hold on. Jalen Hurts bounces to the outside on an option. Toss, college football, high school football style. And Saquon Barkley runs to the outside. Touchdown, Saquon Barkley. Anyway, yeah. So Howie's got me pretty damn excited. About what this upcoming season. And we got this yesterday, but in terms of turning the page, you make a big splash like that in bringing in a talent like Saquon Barkley, and it really does help turn the page on what the hell happened last season. Hasn't really answered any of my questions, unfortunately, about why it happened. But it's got me looking forward to next year. This year, ladies and gentlemen. It's got me looking forward to this year. I can't help it. I'm giddy. That's the best way to describe it. I am just flat out giddy when it comes to thinking about the Eagles starting the season next year. It's going to be in Brazil. We have to have my man Gabriel on from Brazil, who told me that there's just a huge Brazil Eagles fan base, a huge fan base of Eagles fans in Brazil. We'll have to talk to him about that. All right, I want to get to Zack Rosenblatt. He's got some great stuff on Bryce Huff because Bryce Huff, up until this year, was very much an unknown, under-the-radar guy. But one of the things that Zack Rosenblatt told me about and will tell us about is he became a fan favorite over the last couple of training camps. There was even a hashtag for free Bryce Huff. Do we not love that in Philadelphia? Do we not fall in love with these guys over training camp and in preseason games? Do we not? What is it? Rashad Bailey comes to mind as one of them. One of the more recent ones, right? I want to see what people fall in love with when it comes to Bryce Huff. It appears that New York Jets fans are pretty pissed off that he is gone, and I can understand why. But the main thing I wanted to get into is the Zack Rosenblatt was whether or not he is worthy of the promotion that the Eagles just gave him. So before we get to Zack, let me tell you about the great people at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Download the app to your phone. Create an account and use promo code Farzy. You'll get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. So if you want to bet on the world of basketball, want to bet on the world of hockey, want to bet on the world of baseball, you can do it all at MyBookie. And if maybe betting on your sports ain't your thing, you know what you could do? You could also bet on the world of politics. You could also bet on the world of television. And have some fun there too at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump on the Roth and Orthopedics guest line and talk to our friend Zack Rosenblatt of The Athletic. A man that covered the Philadelphia Eagles for a number of years, a man that covered the Giants for a few, and now going into his third season covering New York Jets and what could be a presidential election as well, as far as I'm going to be. You have Aaron Rodgers potentially being the next best vice president of the United States. Who knows what could happen? As you were saying before I hit the old record button here and go, Zack, never a dull moment with those New York Jets.
It's unreal. Every time I think it can't get weirder or more insane, like something like you hear something like this, you're like, that's not real. And then it actually like gets legs and you're like, oh, okay, it actually is happening. Okay. So, it's especially since even before Rodgers went there, there's always weird stuff happening. But since he came there, it's like a new level, obviously. So
who's Aaron Rodgers think he is? Jack Kemp? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I want to make sure people see this as well, so they follow you on social media, on Twitter as well. Make sure you're following him, writer for The Athletic, covering the New York Jets. You guys can see him right there at Zack Blatt. Zack with a K, ladies and gentlemen. Z-A-C-K. As far as this Bryce Huff character goes. One thing I will say before we get into the nitty gritty of it, for everyone in Philadelphia that loves that whole underdog mentality, this guy is that underdog. His background is incredible. When you look back over just his background from high school with his shoulder to the not getting invited to the Senior Bowl and not getting invited to the Combine and undrafted, what can you tell me about really the clock in this guy's head and really the chip on his shoulder?
Yeah, he definitely is someone who's highly motivated, and the second I heard that he might be going to the Eagles, I'm like, the fans are gonna love him there, because beyond like the football side of things, which we're gonna get into, obviously, I think he's a stud. But yeah, his personality, like he's like, the money's not gonna some guys get the money and then they're not the same player after that. You've even seen it with some free agents the Eagles have signed over the years. And that's not going to happen with him. Like he has grinded his way to this point, even within the Jets, last year, 2022, there was times where he clearly deserved to be on the field. And there was games early in the season. He was like a healthy scratch, very early in the season last year. And fans lost their mind because he's been a fan favorite, because he's always one of those dominating training camp guys. And then gets the regular season and maybe wasn't playing that much, or he'd show some flashes here and there. But they didn't play him, and then he went in the next week and immediately was wreaking havoc on the quarterback. And so he's kind of been waiting for his chance. The biggest thing he wants somebody to recognize him for what he can do, financially. He wanted to secure the bag, as they say, and he wanted a chance. He wanted a chance to play more, because he's been a part-time guy for the Jets, and he thinks he can be a lot more than that. I mean, he got 10 sacks playing less than 50% of the snaps last year, and he thinks he could double that up.
I have to say, in doing some research when the Eagles, it became known that he was to be an Eagle, I looked back at some interviews, and you're standing right there next to him. And somebody, I don't think it was you, but somebody said, "So, is there any chance of that old-fashioned, hometown discount thing?" And I first off, I laughed because I saw a smirk on your face. And then, in the nicest way possible, Bryce Huff was like, "I've been playing years ago in baseball with Jason Worth. He literally said before his big contract years last year with the Phillies, I've been playing my whole life for this." And Bryce Huff kind of said the same exact thing. I have been the underdog enough. I've been overlooked enough. When it's time to get that money, it's time to get that money. But he said it, I'm paraphrasing, he said it in a very humbling way.
Dude, even going in, so I talked to him fairly recently, and he told me that he never even fully moved into his apartment. He basically only had his bed and TV, because they drafted a guy in the first round last year, conceivably to replace him. So he's like, okay, well, they're going to trade me. And then they kept on not trading him, and he kept sticking around. And then he had his breakout season. And then all of a sudden they didn't work ahead of time like Howie often has done, where you pay a guy when he's young before he hits the market so you can save a little money. They never did that. And so he hit the market and got what he did from the Eagles. But I think they probably didn't factor Huff into the equation enough when they made that draft pick last year. And now they're kind of they're hoping that this first round pick they picked last year, who barely played, is ready to replace Bryce Huff's production, which is a tall order.
So of the years he's been in the league, what was different about 2023? What clicked for him in 2023 to a 10-sack season?
I mean, I think a lot of it was opportunity. I think he also has a much better supporting cast around him. They had one of the best defensive lines in the league, I think. So he was able to get a lot of guys one-on-one. And Bryce Huff one-on-one, I think, is going to win most of the time, because he's legitimately, I think he might have the fastest get off in the NFL in terms of defensive ends. He has other stuff he needs to work on, but his ability to get off the line of scrimmage and go, he's like a shot out of a cannon. It's really fun to watch, honestly. And even when he doesn't get sacks, he's impacting the quarterback. And so I think you saw in training camp, he was just dominating. He's always been good in training camp, like I said, because that's made for guys like him, where the offensive line can't really hit as much or whatever. And he's just running full speed. But yeah, I just think time, some of these people forget that sometimes some of these kids need they need time to develop. And the Jets, over 4 years, to their credit, developed him, slowly worked through it, slowly increased his playing time. He started playing more in running downs this last year, still not that much, but he started increasing his role. And so I think a lot of it was, he was pass rushing at this rate the year before and the year before that even, but he didn't have the snaps to where you could see okay, can he do this when he has more snaps? And I think he showed that a little bit last year.
Yeah, of the 10 he had a year ago, one of them was on Jack Driscoll. And I know Eagles fans would be like, okay, well, that one doesn't count then. But Jack Driscoll held on the play, and it wasn't called, and you obviously got the sack there for Bryce Huff. When it comes to the promotion, that's the way I've been describing this, because you mentioned less than 50% of the snaps. I believe it's 42% of the snaps that he played. Yeah. This is a huge promotion where they're going to be counting on him to play significantly more than 41% of the snaps. do you feel in what you have seen from Bryce Huff that he is ready for this so-called promotion?
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest question. We won't know until it happens, but I do. And I think a big thing that I think, people are obviously focusing on the 42% thing. If the Jets had actually been holding any leads, he would have played a lot more than 50% of the snaps. Like that's the reality. Like that was their plan last year. Like that's why they drafted a kid in the first round. Like when you're holding more leads, you're rushing the passer more because the other team has to pass to catch up to you. So I think the Eagles are generally holding a lot of leads. They're a great regular season team at the very least. And then they, when they get to the playoffs, then their teams are even passing even more probably. So I don't know. I think he's going to bring a lot of value. Obviously the running game is something he needs to work on. I think he's gotten better over the course of his time there. He still has a long way to go in terms of that. And he's not big. Like he's definitely small. And, there are probably some offensive linemen that can handle him. But because of how fast he is, he catches offensive linemen off balance all the time. And that's why you'll see a lot of holding penalties on him and things like that. And again, he has a great supporting cast in Philly. Like that defensive line is loaded. And so, yeah, he has to prove it. He's never played more than however many, whatever his career highs, I think the year before. But I think he has the ability to be a bona fide 10 sack a season kid.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's on a different direction and trajectory now than say Brandon Graham, who only played about 39% of the snaps a year ago. But just taking that extra step forward for a guy that's going to be making that big money, of course, in this upcoming season is always interesting. One of the things as far as technique goes, just from what I've seen, I've heard some other people talking about it as well. Robert Saleh and that defense using a little bit of the wide nine in New York. So on top of that, other than just the wide nine technique and all that, when it comes to blitzing, that's something Vic Fangio here in Philadelphia now. We've certainly been through his technique, his strategy, his scheme over the last 3 seasons, but now we got the real deal on Vic Fangio. Is that a similar concept with Robert Saleh and his defense, not to blitz all that much and just have guys line up, go after the quarterback in wide nine?
Yeah, the Jets rarely ever blitz. Their thing is just letting their defense. They trust their defense linemen to win their one-on-ones, win their matchups. You have Quinton Williams in the middle, just kind of eating blocks and getting guys open. So I think the Jets defense has always been letting these guys. Their thing is attack, just always attack, but not necessarily blitzing. So the defensive line, sometimes they'll throw a blitz from the linebacker here and there kind of thing, just to throw the offense off. But yeah, it's win your matchup, and Bryce Huff does win much of it. He has one of the best pass rush win rates in the NFL. So
I've seen he's got some pretty good moves. What do you think is his best one?
I forget what it's called, but he chops across and he goes
Sure. Okay.
Honestly, even beyond just the technical stuff, just his speed off the line is his move. The way he's able to time it. I asked him once how he does it, and he said something about how he looks at the ball or something like that, and he can time it based on that. And he's just he I don't know if he's really, I don't know if I've seen him get an offsides penalty, which is pretty remarkable because his timing is just remarkable with that speed that he has. And that's why he's a unique player for free agency. Obviously a lot of it's a projection with him, but because of his athleticism, I think he could fit in pretty much any scheme. If you have to have him standing up and rushing the passer or occasionally dropping back or whatever it is. He was a QB spy on occasion this last year. Where he's watching the quarterback when there was mobile guys. He might have even done that against the Eagles, actually. Yeah, so you have ability he can play left or right defensive end. You can move him around and be creative with it because of his athleticism.
What about that little celebration swagger, whatever that is? What does he call that? What's that? What's the deal there?
Oh, I'm blanking on his backstory for that, but he's been doing that since he got in the league. It's kind of
okay.
It's a pretty sweet dance move, though.
There's
some swag to it, yeah.
Yeah, it's daunting. Yeah. Is what it is. It's he's so controlled when he does it, and you should be a little bit more excited. But anyway, in terms of the chip on his shoulder, we have covered that as far as the mentality of the guy. What type of guy is he in the locker room? From what you know about Philadelphia, you said the fans are going to love him. What about the locker room? Is he a quiet guy? Is he a leader? Is he loud? What's his deal?
He's definitely a quiet guy, I would say. He's well liked by everybody, one of the nicest people I've covered. But yeah, he definitely is not someone who's very bombastic and loud or anything like that. He's friends with everybody, but he's not someone he's not going to be a leader for the team. He's more of a just keep my head down and do my job kind of guy, which every team needs those kind of guys, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've covered Brandon Graham here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We have another smaller guy, big motor, underestimated at some points. Brandon Graham was a first-round pick, so not that underestimated, but first 3 years of his career definitely looked over here. How much do you think one can help the other? How much can a guy like Brandon Graham and his leadership as well as his experience help a guy like Bryce Huff reach his full potential?
Oh, 100%. Bryce already has great habits, which I think is why he'll endear himself to like that defensive line room. But Brandon Graham's the best there is at being a leader. Like if I was picking anybody on a defensive line to like lead it would be him. Like he's one of my favorite guys I've ever covered. He made everybody feel like they were special when you talk to them. Like I loved covering Brandon Graham. I remember because he thought he was going to leave. I think it was after my first or second year. I can't remember, 2018 or 2019. He thought he was going to leave in free agency, and he like shook every single media member's hand and like hugged everybody on his way out. And then then obviously he keeps resigning and he's still going. But yeah,
you and I were one of those people. We both got. I don't remember if you did. I got bro hugged by Brandon Graham.
Yeah, I think it was. That's what I'm saying. And so I like Bryce. The defensive line in New York was mostly young guys, so it wasn't a lot of like veteran savvy guys that he was learning from. So I think that'll definitely, like, if Bryce is willing to take on coaching and leadership from a guy like that, which I don't see why he wouldn't. I think that could help him a lot for sure.
Mm-hmm. Look, the first 2 years he had in the league had to be pretty rough before he really broke out, right? When you were covering him that time, especially maybe 2 years ago, was there ever a moment where you saw him with his head down, you saw him discouraged? What can you tell me about him getting ready for that breakout season?
No, I never saw that. And I started covering them in 2022. So I wasn't there when he first got in the league. But I remember noticing him in training camp. And then, like I said, when he got healthy scratched early that season, he was already a fan favorite. Fans like lost their mind. And so I think the fact that he, like, the fans like being so supportive of him probably helped a little bit, honestly, because when you're a guy, you think you're really good and you're like, man, I'm beating these guys in practice every day, but they're still not playing like me. Am I like not thinking about this the right way? And then you have everybody else being like, why aren't you playing him? Free Bryce Huff, #free Bryce Huff. Like that was the thing. And I imagine that helped, like having that level of support from a fan base, like everybody believing you in that way, especially for an undrafted kid, fighting to make the roster the first 2 years of his career, stuff like that, to where he is now. Like it's such a cool journey, and I'm pumped for him because I do think Eagles fans are going to love the way he plays. Maybe he'll frustrate them in the running game sometimes, but just the way he rushes the passer, like there's not many guys made like him.
All right, we just went through the year, and of course the downfall. Well, there is the early warning sign of the downfall. With that loss to the Jets, but we don't need to get into that. When it comes to this Eagles team for the end of the season, everything hit the fan, and one of the things that really jumped out to me was Hassan Reddick. When Matt Patricia took over his play calling, Hassan Reddick just flat out laughed. Okay, snickered at the idea of being dropped back in coverage 7 times. Bryce Huff, he said, played a little quarterback spy, dropped back a little bit as well for the Jets. Not another attitude question, but is he prepared to do both? Obviously, not just get after the quarterback, but at times to keep the offense guessing, drop back into coverage.
Yeah, I don't think he would do what. I didn't even know that Reddick did that. I did hear about everybody like losing their mind about him dropping into coverage or whatever, but I don't think Bryce would have any issue with that because he's definitely a guy that like he just wants to be on the field and give him the opportunity when he's out there, he's going to produce for you kind of thing. Like he's very, very confident in himself. He thinks he can be a 4-down player, and he hasn't had a chance to prove that yet. So whatever the coaches tell him to do, he's definitely like a guy that like he'll go where the coaches tell him to go.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything from his background? We covered his journey to the NFL and being undrafted and all that stuff. Is there anything from his background when you look at it, you think it really sums up the type of player that Bryce Huff is?
That's a good question. I don't have a great answer for you, but he's a very he's just so focused and committed. Like I said, like even the story I told you earlier, just about how he just like had nothing in his apartment. And he's still just like grinding every day, like thinking, not knowing if he's gonna have to move at any moment. And I don't know. I think that just says a lot about him. Like he doesn't let stuff get to him. I know he's been through a lot like in his life. I don't remember all the exact details like at this very second, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But he's a guy that like he'll make time for anybody, including like reporters. Like if you go up to him, he'll talk to any reporter that talks to him. And he's a good kid. I'm really excited for him.
They'll probably be buying a house now in South Jersey. Probably. Yeah. That's what they all do. That's what every athlete does. Buy a house in South Jersey. Yeah. Decorate it beautifully, most likely. Just 2 more things for you here. The Eagles have just had one hell of a run in the first couple of days. Yeah. Not even 24 hours official free agency, just the tampering period. You've covered Howie. You know the team here, obviously. What would, for on paper right now with Saquon Barkley in this offense and plugging a big hole there defensively by bringing in a guy like Bryce Huff, what have you made of this Eagles offseason to this point?
Yeah, I look at it through a Jets lens because, Joe Douglas worked under Howie Roseman for a long time in Philly. And we see what Howie does every year when he feels like they're good enough to win a Super Bowl. He goes all in and he spends what he has to spend. And again, part of that is like ownership approval, which is an underrated part of all this. But Joe Douglas on the flip side has kind of like always been very conservative in free agency. He only goes up to a certain number. He won't go past it. He doesn't get into bidding wars. And the Jets are like, in theory, all in on trying to win a Super Bowl this year with a 40-year-old quarterback. And they've kind of been very quiet and kind of like shopping in the bargain bin. It's a very stark contrast. So I do kind of like, free agency for a reporter, like it is fun when a team is like going all out and getting guys like Saquon. And it's stressful and exhausting, but it's fun. Whereas like, so the whole Jets fan base, I don't know if you saw my bio, it said sleepy senior writer. It's because.
Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah. I honestly did a double take because I was like, wait, I thought it was the Athletic.
So so the other night, the first night of free agency, I made the rookie mistake. The Jets hadn't done anything all day, so it's like 10:30, and I'm like, I'm kind of tired. Like I think I'm good. So my mistake was putting my phone on do not disturb. Knocked out. I popped awake at like 1:45 a.m. and I look at my phone and the Jets made 3 different free agent signings and I'm just getting roasted by every fan and other reporters and then it keeps going into the next morning and at first I was getting mad about it because they're like acting like I don't try hard and then I'm like, you know what, I got to embrace this. So I've just been like fully embracing the sleep thing.
That's awesome.
Yes, I put it in my bio, but
fantastic. Well, you can't sleep that much because you got that podcast. Can't wait podcast. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah. We it's named after the famous interview Bart Scott did after win against the Patriots, where he said, "Can't wait." Jets podcast got Connor Hughes, who covers the Giants and Jets. It was his podcast, and I inherited it when I went to the Athletics. A lot of fun. So we're Bryce Huff supporting podcast. We always have been ever since he got healthy scratched. We've been a Bryce Huff pod. So
yeah, I like the idea of the free Bryce Huff because that's definitely something Philly would do as well. I think it was free Rashad Bailey for a while. You know what I mean? Free Greg Ward. Well, he definitely had his moment. There's countless guys. There's countless guys when it comes to the training camp darling, if you will. And then finally, what is the expectation with Aaron Rodgers next year and you New York Jets people? What's going on there?
The expectation is
aside from a political career.
Yeah, removing all that crap. That's it. The expectation is that it could go either really well or really terribly, and there's not really an in between. Is kind of like how I feel about it. Like I on paper, the Jets, they have a lot they have to do on offense. Still, they have to get another receiver and another offensive lineman. But on paper, their defense is one of the best in the NFL. They have Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. They have a lot of talent, and they need to put it together. I don't trust some of the coaching staff. Like the offensive play calling is pretty brutal, but they have the talent to be good if Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy. But he's a 40-year-old coming off Achilles surgery, so they're playing with fire a little bit. But they have the talent to make the playoffs, and the Jets haven't made the playoffs in 13 years, which is the longest streak in sports. So if they can just make the playoffs, I think everybody will be happy.
All right. Officially, my last question. You might not know the answer because it's a tough question. And I don't know if you know the lineage of Bryce Huff. Any relation to Josh Huff?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, thank God. Okay, we're good. We're good. That's all. That's all I need. Where can we listen to your podcast? Can't wait.
Yeah, we're on all the podcast apps, Spotify. We go live on YouTube when we record. Apple, all the good stuff.
Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Zack Rosenblatt. Zack does a phenomenal job. Appreciate him coming on with us. Good conversation. Great guy. And very happy that he is in the New York market. Of course, we miss him here in Philadelphia, but can't have it all, folks. You can't have it all. Before we get into our sponsors, before we get into our chat check, a couple takeaways. One, I think Bryce Huff is just as advertised. And what I mean by that is if you do look into his background, and we talked about it yesterday, we just talked about it in the interview there, just a guy that has always been looked over. And when I went back and watched some of his interviews in the locker room and just how he, just trying to get a feel for the guy's personality, he definitely seems like more of a quiet type, reserved, humble type of guy. But when he was asked about hometown discount, he's like, no. Pretty much is how he answered the question. But yeah, the guy has been pushed aside, has had to overcome so much adversity throughout his entire playing career, going back to high school. And then all the times he was overlooked, from not getting invited to the combine and being undrafted, not even getting invited to the Senior Bowl. We've talked about this, but just to distill the point even further, like, this is the type of guy that you want to get that big contract, because I don't think this guy knows any other way but forward. Like, sometimes you get worried about those guys getting those big deals and then getting all fat and happy, so to speak, metaphorically speaking. But this doesn't seem to be one of those guys in Bryce Huff that gets that gear. He's got one gear, and it's go. I do want to see, and I do still, as much as I can praise him, as much as the good things you just heard about him, of all that, we're still not going to know for sure how he is going to handle the big promotion of, all right, man, this ain't 41% of the snaps anymore. You're getting paid 4 down money. Go get it. Go get it. Want to see how Vic Fangio deploys him. And I want to see overall how this entire defense comes together, because, yeah, I've mentioned a tiny question mark in Cam Jurgens on the offensive line. Ruben Frank was talking about this yesterday. I caught him saying this. He's not ruling out Landon Dickerson potentially being the future center of this Eagles team. That would be interesting. That would be bonkers. Dave Zingaro referenced that when he was on with us last week about Ruben Frank's take on the idea that, if it doesn't work, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson's right there as well. Okay, scary, but just to think that Cam Jurgens wouldn't work out. But it's still a question. I think all the physical stuff he can do. It's whether or not he's going to be good at the NFL of picking up the blitzes, if he learned enough from being next to Jason Kelce for a year, all that. But when it comes to everything else, the physical part of the game, I think we know. Watching him play last year, I think we know he can handle his business. But when it comes to everything else, a small question mark around Cam Jurgens. Bigger question mark about Tyler Steen. The biggest question marks, though, about this team are on the defensive side of the football. I saw people talking yesterday about whether or not Saquon Barkley is enough for the Eagles. Is Saquon Barkley enough for the Eagles offense? For the offense. They didn't need a lot. The Eagles offense next year, and this is where you can talk about maybe exorbitant spending. You didn't really need a Saquon Barkley. You could have saved like $10 million, $13 million by bringing in DeAndre Swift again and just keeping him around and being happy with that. And you could still have a guy that could catch the ball out of the backfield. DeAndre Swift had 39 catches last year out of the backfield. Saquon Barkley had 41. Make of that what you will. DeAndre Swift in his career has been great at catching the ball out of the backfield. You could have just saved some money and kept DeAndre Swift around, but instead you went for the guy that can be that home run hitter. That can not just catch 39 to 50 passes out of the backfield. I know he caught 91 his rookie year, Saquon Barkley, but that ain't happening. Not even in this offense, this pass-happy offense that we're going to see. But in terms of getting the ball in his hands, he's the home run hitter. DeAndre Swift is not that type of home run hitter. Saquon Barkley is that type of home run hitter. Quickness, agility, running over people, he could do that. DeAndre Swift, quickness and agility. Run over people, not so much. But the biggest question marks on this team, I still feel, are like most people feel, on the defensive side of the football. CJGJ, I think, is a good acquisition. I don't think it's Super Bowl, baby, but it's a good acquisition. But offensively speaking, in terms of Saquon Barkley, is he enough? They didn't need a lot. He's more than enough. The Eagles' offense, an embarrassment of riches, without question. Defensively speaking, you're really still just putting your trust in Nakobe Dean? When it comes to the linebacker position, everyone, he's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy. So far, 0 for 1. 0 for 1 in trusting Nakobe Dean to be the starting middle linebacker of the Philadelphia Eagles. Not great. Not the way you wanted to start it out, especially when it came to the linebacker position for a team that doesn't trust the position to begin with, or doesn't value the position to begin with, and a fan base that doesn't trust what the Eagles are trusting at the linebacker position. Eric Kendricks, by the way, not Michael Kendricks, the brother of Michael Kendricks, Eric Kendricks, the better of the Kendrickses, is a Dallas Cowboy. He's supposed to go to the Chargers and said, thanks, but no thanks. Now he's a Dallas Cowboy. Go figure. Go figure. But defense still has some questions. I still feel the same way as I did yesterday. The Eagles are going to be drafting a corner as of right now. If you're looking at a way too early depth chart, Keely Ringo and Darius Slay are going to be your starting corners this season. James Bradbury is not going to be with the team next year. That's what all signs are pointing to right now. It seems like two guys that were starters last year that are not going to be starters next year. I think the two leading candidates there are James Bradbury and Josh Sweat. Still getting that vibe that Josh Sweat has played his last game as an Eagle. Look, when the player himself says, it's been real, I'm going to miss y'all, you kind of know that the writing's not just on the wall. The writing is literally, it's written. It's there on the comments. It's there in the comment section from Josh Sweat himself. So I don't think he's back. I think that's what the Bryce Huff deal officially means. And I think I think Hassan Reddick is going to be back on a restructured deal. We'll get into that more a little bit later. I'm sure we'll get into it in the chat check as well. But before we go any further with that, I do want to mention, as is in the headline there, Brandon Marsh made his spring debut yesterday. I love the fact, okay, the Phillies won. They beat the Tigers 4-1. Brandon Marsh, 0 for 2 yesterday. He said it was the best 0 for 2 ever, simply because he was playing. So great to see that. Worth noting, Aaron Nola got the start yesterday, went 4 2/3, so his workload's getting ramped up a bit. Did give up 2 hits, 1 run. It was on a home run, and you know who that home run was to? Mr. Carshield himself, Matt Vierling for the Detroit Tigers. Whit Merrifield also homered. Ranger Suarez gets the start today for your Philadelphia Phillies against the Boston Red Sox. 1:05 start time down there in Florida. So there you go. That's going down. All that good stuff. All right, let's get to the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. Hey, good morning. Hey, what's going on? Bucks, Rays, and Bolts. Those are a few of not my favorite things. What takes Eagle news on Adam said? What? What takes Eagle news on Adam said? What? Good morning, Friday. Good morning, Eric Gallagher. What's going on? IBH, good morning. Bucks, Rays, Bolts. Get breaking news. What happened? Eagle news. See what Adam news tempering. What? What is happening? Oh, the tampering news? Do you mean Adam? That was Tim McManus's story of ESPN, I believe it was. Yeah, I didn't mention it in the open because, so the story is James Franklin of Penn State said in this press conference, what was yesterday? Was it Tuesday? I think Tuesday. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. During the legal tampering period, said that one of Howie's sales pitch to Saquon Barkley was, "You're back in Pennsylvania." I was like, okay. I love Saquon's like, yeah, I love Amish country. Like what? Yeah, that's great. I mean, but there's 2 NFL teams in Pennsylvania. But anyway, that was apparently with big Howie. If that's how Howie's getting this stuff done, man, then I don't know what. It's like that guy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even want to make the comparison. But it's crazy if that was the sales pitch. But anyways, James Franklin said that Howie Roseman, his sales pitch to Saquon, according to Saquon, was you'll be back in PA. Okay, great. So that if that happened as James Franklin said it in his news conference, then that's illegal. That's okay. So part of the legal tampering period is that the general manager can't directly speak to the subject, can't directly speak to the player. So James Franklin basically painted a picture that Howie Roseman spoke directly to Saquon Barkley. It's not known if that's how it went down or not, or if that was the message delivered through somebody else to Saquon, from Howie to a third party to Saquon, a middleman, if you will, or woman. But the bottom line is nothing's happening. The NFL hasn't acknowledged that they're investigating, and the Giants haven't filed a grievance or anything like that. So As of right now, it's just James Franklin said something at a press conference. Maybe there was illegal tampering during the legal tampering portion of free agency. The only thing that really made me think of is, what are we doing? What are we doing here? It's a legal tampering period. These players, everyone's got everyone's number. Are you going to start confiscating phones? Is that how this is going to go? I saw the illegal tampering, and I'm like, I thought this is the legal portion of it. Either way, it wasn't like this happened a month ago where Howie Roseman went over Saquon's house and they were just chilling. They were just chopping it up, the two of them. You know what I mean? But yeah, nothing's really there. But thank you for bringing it up. Bucks, Rays, and Bolts. The only team I like out of that is the Rays, actually. Because they lost the World Series to the Phillies in 08. Eric Gallagher, good morning. Hello. Wait, hold on. All right. Is Eagle get trouble? What happened this morning? Probably not. Hutch, what's going on? Bill's tweet blew my mind as well. Howie, the Cap Wizard. If you're just joining us, and yesterday you were living under a rock because it was literally everywhere, here it is one more time. This is the tweet. This is it. This is the tweet, okay? How bonkers is this? Is this not absolutely insane? I think this is absolutely insane. All right, here's the numbers again. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley. The total cap hit for those Eagles in 2024, this season, is $36.2 million. Dak Prescott's cap hit, $59.4. Daniel Jones, who, in case you didn't know, sucks, is probably going to suck more now that Saquon Barkley's out there. $47 million. So again, $59 million. Let's just say $59 million for Dak Prescott for a cap hit. Daniel Jones, $47 million. Hurts, Brown, Smith, Barkley, 36.2. Insane. So insane, got no brain. And same with the Roseman. Sorry, that's enough. My ADD is really kicking in. Alora, come on. What's happening with these buttons? All right, anyway. Wait. James Alexander, what's going on? Good morning. Good morning. More on Franklin. Tim M. You know what I do hate? Just before I even, okay. More on Franklin is going to cost the Eagles a draft capital. Says Tim. Here's what one thing I hate. I am excited about Saquon Barkley, and you know what I hate? When people throw, and I legit hate this. People throw it. This is the argument people will throw at me for being excited about Saquon Barkley. Not that he's a great football player, not that he's a generational talent, not that he's at the absolute worst, a top 3 running back in the NFL. Not that. This is what really pisses me off. People are like, "Oh, you're from Pennsylvania. You're a Penn State guy. You're just happy you have because of Penn State." I don't give I don't like cursing on this show, and this is as close as I'm going to get to it, okay? I don't give a rat's ass about Penn State. My brother went there. Good for him. I know a lot of people that are huge Penn State fans. Some close personal friends are huge Penn State fans, and they're excited. They're excited. I'm happy that they're happy. That's where it ends for me. It's no grudge, no nothing. It's just that when somebody throws something in my face that has nothing to do with me, I don't care. That's not why I'm happy about it. The Eagles got a really good football player. The Eagles got a great football player. That's the only reason I'm excited about it. The Penn State connection means nothing. I'm happier about it on a personal level. I'm happier about Matt Hennessy because he went to Temple. Go Owls, baby. Steve Day, Brazil. What a long and windy road ahead. Yes, very much. Adams Exploits, what's up, man? That's illegally tampering. Right, if Howie spoke to him, right? Is that what you're referencing? But there's Eagles say they dealt with the representatives. There you go. Wait, hold on a second. Jason A. The tampering. This is crazy. What about Swift to Detroit in 10 minutes of legal tampering? Exactly. Like, you should just stop it. Just call it negotiating. The negotiating window is open. Legal tampering. That's called negotiating. What are we agreeing with here? What the hell's happening? Oh, here we go. Andrew Dirk. I'm sorry I missed you earlier. I said last year I want to see Nolan Smith show up. As do I. But you know what really scares me about Nolan Smith? Is that whole shoulder thing. And I know he just got the shoulder scoped. I know he got that done, right? I shouldn't even say that, but he had a procedure done in the offseason. But if you remember, I want to say it was after his first preseason game. The question from the field was like, hey, you did pretty well out there. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm hungry. You're not hungry unless you eat off the floor. And I eat off the floor. And they're like, well, how did it feel? And it's like, good, but it's just about my shoulder. It's like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I was like, say what now? You're a rookie and you got, shoulder issues. Come again? And then you barely saw him this year. And then the report comes out rather laissez-faire after the season about it's a little shoulder procedure. All right, let's hope that whatever that was, he's fine now. Daytime Frank. What's up, Daytime Frank? Eagles didn't need another playmaker. They needed a coach. And got him. You mean Vic Fangio? Yes. If you mean Kellen Moore, absolutely. Swift doesn't block. Fair. Very fair. They're getting a better blocker in Saquon Barkley. Absolutely. Adam, I didn't say anything. I just got here. Sorry, Adam. All right. I was just making sure I didn't miss anything. Appreciate you, brother. What is this thing's jumping around on me? I don't know what the hell's going on here. Eric Wisniewski needs a better draft. Absolutely. Sean Kilroy, you better damn well draft one or maybe two linebackers. Example, Edge Cooper. Love it. Peyton Wilson. Trot Jr. Farzi. Cooper's probably Edgerrin Cooper is, I'm going to say he goes early second round. Eagles have an opportunity here with all the compensatory picks they got, especially to maybe move up in that second round. Trotter Jr., I think late second round, probably a better chance for the Eagles to be there on the board there. It's not just because he's Jeremiah Trotter's son. It's because he's really good. I would love to see him. Absolutely love to see him in the Kelly Green. Peyton Wilson also hell of a play. I'm happy. Second, early third for these three guys. But yeah, I'm in on all those guys, Sean. In on all of them. Benny Boom 68. It's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. This is where, okay, there we go. April. Good morning, April. April. The weight room ain't ready. They're going to need more plates in that weight room. Mihai. What's up, Mihai Sanchez? Happy Howie season. Happy Howie season to you. Hutch. Howie just needs more drafts like 21 to be well-rounded GM. I agree. Please talk about what Adam reports this morning. All right, let me just double check. All right, because I saw the report last night from Tim McManus. Let me, jeez, let me pull up that Adam Schefter character and what he's got going on here. Eagles have denied impermissible contact between general manager Howie Roseman and running back Saquon Barkley during the negotiating window before the start of free agency via Tim McManus. Okay, so this is from Tim McManus. That tweet came out 2 hours ago. Tim McManus' story, if it's the same one from, 8:32 last night. The 13th, it's the 14th. There you go. There you go. These remaining free agent linebackers, Devin White, Tyrell Dotson, Jerome Baker, Oren Burks. No thanks. Don't want Band-Aid or blood. Yeah. I'd really like Devin White too, but here's the deal. These are more along the guys. These are more along the lines of what the Eagles are going to go after. This is more along the lines, right? The plugins. They'll draft and groom, hopefully, and then they'll get you your. I know he just became an unrestricted free agent yesterday, but I wouldn't mind Zach Cunningham coming back. In terms of what the Eagles have right now, it's not what I'm rooting for. But I'm like, if it gets announced later today, the Eagles have worked out a deal with Zach Cunningham. I'm like, okay. At least I got a guy I know can play. Morning, everyone. Good morning, Sean Gillespie. What's popping? Maybe a trade for a linebacker. We'll see. We'll see. When it comes to, I mean, it's certainly possible. They're going to get a linebacker. They're not done at the linebacker spot. Braun isn't the guy that's going to end their search for linebackers. I have not seen it yet, but I know that the June 1st designations came out yesterday, so I want to get the rest of those numbers soon. We can give... Ooh, ridiculous. We could just give Huff Defensive Player of the Year right now and save everyone trouble. I would love for that to be the case. But so much depends on Jordan Davis, the season he's going to have, Jalen Carter, how the Eagles transition to those guys being the leaders on the interior defensive line. Now that Fletcher Cox isn't here, Milt Williams stepping up. Like a lot of this is going to depend on the interior defensive line. Also, it's going to depend on how Bryce Huff adapts to also playing against the run. Adam McCann, what's going on? What you guys think about signing wide receiver 3, either Renfro, Boyd, or Samuel? Like Renfro, like Boyd, Samuel, men's a little bit. Not big on, but they essentially brought their guy in Devontae Parker, who, for me, is a third wide receiver, and is pretty awesome. I kind of like that a lot. Jason A. Yeah, you and I are on the same page here. Worried about the passing downs or the rushing downs. There we go. Now we're on. April, Florida man in the comments. There's the moron Franklin part, which I just find hilarious. It's time to bench Tobias. Oof, James. If everyone's, I have a friend of mine who's he likes rolling the dice, baby. I'm pretty sure he does it with MyBookie, mybookie.ag. But anyway, he texts me. He goes, "What's with the Sixers?" He lives in Omaha, Nebraska, and he's like, "What's with the Sixers, man?" He was in an airport in Miami watching the game, so he probably bet on a half or a quarter, knowing him. And what's the Sixers? I'm like, "Oh, did you bet them?" And he's like, "Not important, but what's with the Sixers?" And I go, "Dude," Maxey's been out. He's just coming back from a concussion. This was the second Knicks game. Tobias sucks. Embiid has been out for a long time. You should know that. And don't bet the Sixers unless you want to bet against them. That's where we are right now in life. Rodney Burton, what's up? I hope CJ helps Bradbury get his ish together. I do too. Nat, did you like the Cypress Hill? You're welcome for the. I have one friend that's a big Cypress Hill fan. So let me just do this real quick. I just want to take a comment. I'm not going to do a screen grab because it'll mess with my connection. But Cypress Hill, baby. That's why you come here. Insanely accurate football takes, like just when I said Saquon Barkley wasn't going to be an Eagle, and Cypress Hill references. That's what we bring here on the Farzy Show. Oh my God, the cap, Danny Dimes. Holy Stromboli. Oh man. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, it's absolutely amazing seeing it. Linebacker or corner in the first round? Corner. Nat, I'm going to tell you right now, if the Eagles draft a linebacker in the first round, if the Eagles draft a linebacker in the first round of this draft, I don't know. I don't even know what insane thing I'll do, but I don't know, cartwheels down Broad Street. But here's the thing. If they do draft a linebacker in the first round, I also think that's a bad move because I like Edrin Cooper. I like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I like Peyton Wilson, but I don't know if they're first round talent guys. If they somehow trade out of the first round, I'm not suggesting it. And they get like 2 seconds or something like that. Then okay, we can party as their first pick, fine. But I don't do that. Corner, it's a corner heavy draft. It's a wide receiver heavy draft. I'm not expecting the Eagles to take a wide receiver. The last count I saw, there are 11 wide receivers that could go in the first 50 picks. That's pretty damn good for the wide receiver position. If you're a wide receiver, you're pretty excited about this draft. Cornerback as well. So it's an interesting thing there. Oh, Adams exploits. I don't even want to think about this. Smith and Dean could be busts. Gross. Especially when Nakobe Dean. Look, no, excuse me. Nakobe Dean's a third-round pick. I can swallow it because he's a third-round pick. All right? Nolan Carroll. Good God. Nolan Smith. If Nolan Smith is a bust, he's a first-round pick. And the only reason he wouldn't be getting more flack, the only reason he's not getting more flack now is because the Eagles, in the first round, they got Jalen Carter. If they don't get Jalen Carter in the first round initially, then their first-round pick was Nolan Smith. He sucks. You know? He's a bust. He's Brandon Graham. Little Hassan my ass. Anyway, yeah, that's what I would think. April is a fellow Temple alum. Bleep Penn State. There we go. That's the spirit. James Alexander wants to get in on Howie SZN. Trade Josh Sweat to the Jaguars for a second-round draft pick. There you go. Andrew Dirk. I'm a Penn State. I hate Penn State. I'm a Ducks fan. I'm from 45 minutes from Penn State. I like the player. There we go. All right. Bucks raise Bolt. Only want punsman. Punsman? I'm a father. I love puns. Anyway, Eagles only one care about it. Eagle only one care about it. All right. Big Ben, what the hell are we doing at linebacker? Probably what we usually do at linebacker. Not much. What are we looking at? Barkley overpaid, overrated. How dare you, A? I'm not going to argue the overpaid part. For a running back in the league, it's a lot of money. But yet not overrated. In all honesty, A, before I get out of the chat, I want you to tell me your top 5 running backs in the NFL. Who are the top 5 running backs in the NFL? Because I think he's a slam dunk for top 3. Wait, hold on a second. Guys, Castro, we loaded for Brazil. All right. Miss anybody? Guys and Castro, Saquon, 2,000 yards to shut the Giants' mouth. Here's the thing. His rookie season, something like 700 yards receiving, 1,300 yards rushing, 2,000 yards total, 91 receptions. Holy Stromboli. Okay. I think from the line of scrimmage this year, you're going to see another 2,000-yard season for Saquon Barkley. That's what I'm projecting. Now he has to stay healthy, blah, 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 blah. But behind this offensive line, with these offensive weapons, now you might say, oh, it's too much ball to spread around. Well, as we talked about yesterday, the Eagles have had 2,000-yard receivers in back-to-back seasons, as well as a 1,000-yard rusher. So, and the guys that they have had in the rushing department have not been as good as Saquon Barkley. So I'm pretty excited. Isaiah Hines, what's going on? You think we need more depth at defensive tackle? If Jalen Carter goes down, where's the interior pressure coming from? So here's what you got. You got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams. Those are your top three. They'll add depth through the draft. They'll add depth, undrafted free agents. I don't think they're done there just yet. Top five went healthy. Chubb, McCaffrey, Barkley, Henry, Aaron Jones. I don't trust Aaron Jones. I trust Saquon more than I trust Aaron Jones. I have Barkley above Chubb. For me, it's top three talent in the NFL, running back position. Going into this season, I'll even do it like that, okay? Christian McCaffrey, overall talent. This isn't, like I said earlier in the week when it comes to being a pure rusher. This is overall talent. Overall, who would I want? Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. I think that's the order I'd go. But either way, I have Barkley in my top three slam dunk. Top five is just to be nice to other people. I got you, Jason. No worries. Andrew, I heard we can more cap if we re-sign Hassan. Yeah, potentially with the restructured deal, sure. Danquan Barkley. Second level Barkley is scary. Absolutely. The first thing that just really jumps out to me about Saquon Barkley, like watching him, yes, at the school he went to that I don't care about, but watching him and then watching him in the NFL, there's something about his stride. I don't know if you've seen other running backs with huge quads, but there's just something about his stride that is so the combination of power and grace in the stride, like he glides up the field. It's like we've seen fast, but there's something about his. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a combination of like a Jerome Bettis watching him run, and then yes, Barry Sanders, definitely shades of Barry Sanders, and I hate to compare him to guys that are in the league now, but like even to a Christian McCaffrey, but there's just something about the grace of his power. Like usually if you talk about power guys, you're talking about lumbering guys, but he's got the power and he's got the grace that goes along with it and the finesse to be able to catch the ball. Like there's just, I honestly, I hate the jersey he's worn. But oh my goodness gracious. Hate the jersey he's worn, but love watching him play. Can I say that? Is that allowed? Is that permissible? Oh my goodness gracious, ladies and gentlemen. Alyssa! Holy moly, haven't been here forever. I'm still bald. Sorry to disappoint you. Anyway, Alyssa, great to see you. Happy soon-to-be Sixers play-in season tournament time. Not play-in season, I should say. Play-in tournament time. There you go. Alyssa, nice to see you. Welcome back. Wonderful to see you. Fitness Warrior, better put some respect on Josh Jacobs' name. Barkley is a beast, though. Nah, Josh Jacobs, okay. That's Daytime Frank. Josh Jacobs could be top 5 with a fresh start anyway. That's pretty good. I like that. Alyssa, the Sixers make me cry. Sorry, Alyssa. I'm hoping. Hey, the hope is that Joel Embiid comes back, right? The hope is that he comes back. Great to see you. Speaking of those 10.876ers, and thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Your 76ers are back in action. Good Lord, I hate how this schedule is now. 76ers are back in action in Bebo Bop tonight in Milwaukee. 8 o'clock tip-off against Doc Rivers, of course. Blah, 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 bloobity, blah. In case you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen, of where your 76ers are right now in the standings after they have not done great. The Sixers right now are somehow magically in the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. They are 2.5 games behind the Orlando Magic for the 5 seed. The Orlando Magic, God. Oh, God. The Indiana Pacers are also 15 games out of first place, as are the Sixers in the Eastern Conference. The Miami Heat are 16 games out. And who the hell was it? Was it JJ Redick. It was JJ Redick who said, "Watch out for the Heat. Playoff Jimmy's coming." And I'm like, "Damn you, JJ Redick, for even acknowledging that and making my heart hurt." But anyway, that's where the Sixers are. They occupy the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference as of right now. They're at tonight. 8 o'clock tip-off in Milwaukee against those Bucks. As for your Philadelphia Flyers, they're back on the ice tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. 7:30 tip face-off tonight against the Maple Leafs in South Philadelphia. So don't miss that. How's that grab you? Sean Kilrain. Barkley runs like a train. Sixers losing tonight. Thank you, A. Thank you. Yeah, my friend, I'm going to tell my friend to bet on the Bucks. Hold on. Now that I'm thinking about it, what's the line? What is that line for tonight's game? Good God, Sixers are only 7 games over 500. Early line. Sixers or Bucks are 9.5 point favorites. I love sports. Sports are so fun. Hey, if you want to go to a sporting event, download the Game Time app, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, the Game Time app. Use promo code Farzy when you create an account and get $20 off your first purchase when you buy your tickets on the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone. Have yourself a good time. Again, promo code Farzy when you create an account, you get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. And if you find tickets on another site or another app for less money in the same section and same row, how about the Game Time guarantee? Well, they'll get you back 110% of the difference right there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back at 10:20 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Talk to my friend Bill Colarulo. My thanks to my friend Zack Rosenblatt of The Athletic, covering the New York Jets, for stopping by the show today. Had a great conversation with him. If you haven't seen that interview, make sure you go back on the Farzy Show channel or Jacob Media as well and watch that interview. Provided a lot of insight when it came to Bryce Huff. Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys smash the like button on Twitter, Twitter, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube to both Jacob Media and the Farzy Show YouTube channels as well. My name is Mark Farzetta. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are great. Be back with you guys tomorrow, a Friday show where we wrap up the week of what was going down with your Philadelphia sports teams. Talk to you guys tomorrow.